Welcome back to Warmth and Wisdom. Sharing a story this time for Shavuos. I apologize for the lack of a story last week, but this week we're going to have two stories, which hopefully each explain the other. I'll begin with one that the talmid Rebbe told over. He said he heard it many times from the Ger Rebbe, the Pnei Menachem, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Bracha. Pnei Menachem said that once when he was about 5 years old, he was taking a long train ride in Poland together with his father, the Imreemes Zatzal, and his mother, the Rebbetzin Fega Minshe, Aleh Shalom. So the Rebbetzin heard that the Chofetz Chaim was actually traveling on the same train in another compartment. She came to the Imreemes, her husband, and said, "I would like to take Pinchas Menachem to the Chofetz Chaim for a bracha." The Rebbe was very happy with the idea, noting that not only is the Chofetz Chaim the Tzadik Hador, but he's also a Kohen, and the brachas of a Kohen are miskayim. So the Rebbetzin took her son and went into the cabin of the Chofetz Chaim. When the Chofetz Chaim heard who she was, he stood up. He said, "Eishes chaver kechaver." The wife of a chaver is like the chaver himself. So that was also in honor of her husband, the Imreemes. She said that she would like her son to receive a bracha, and the Chofetz Chaim drew the boy to him and said, "What bracha would you like?" The young 5-year-old said, "I would like a bracha for Torah." The Rebbe said, "Sinishdaken bracha for Torah. There is no bracha for Torah. Medaf horvin and horvin. You have to work and work and work repeatedly." He then paused and then placed both of his hands on the head of young Pinchas Menachem and recited Birchas Kohanim. When they returned to the Imreemes, they told him the exchange that they had with the Chofetz Chaim, and the Rebbe smiled and said, "Aber noch de Kabbalah hat gewinscht." He said, after the boy accepted upon himself to work with all of his strength to learn Torah, the Chofetz Chaim gave a bracha. This shows the principle that a person has to do all that they can, and then one can merit bracha. I did have questions about the story, though. Why can't you get a bracha for Torah? Couldn't the tzaddik give you a bracha that you understand everything easily? That you retain that which you learned? Wouldn't that be a bracha for Torah? The following story clarifies. Decades later, Rav Pinchas Menachem was then Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Sfas Emes in Yerushalayim. The talmid Rebbe, who was a Magid Shira in that yeshiva for many years, had a talmid who was having a very hard time with his learning, and it was getting him depressed. The Rebbe said, "I think you should speak to the Rosh Yeshiva." And he went with the boy into Pinchas Menachem Alter, the Rosh Yeshiva. The boy poured out his heart and said how frustrating it was for him that he wasn't progressing in learning, he wasn't succeeding, despite the fact that he was really trying. Rav Pinchas Menachem said to him, "I'm jealous of you." The boy immediately turned away, thinking that that's a ridiculous statement. And the Rosh Yeshiva said, "Let me explain." He said, "I was born with a very sharp intellect and have an excellent memory. My father arranged me to learn one-on-one with the best private teachers in Poland and later in Eretz Yisrael." He says, "Therefore, virtually every sefer I open, I'm able to read easily, almost like a person would read a newspaper. However, that's not fulfilling the mitzvah of Amal HaTorah, of working hard in learning Torah. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Not that we're able to absorb the information easily. That's not Amal HaTorah. I have to work very hard to reach levels of difficulty in which I'm actually fulfilling Amal HaTorah." He says, "You fulfill that every day." This is why I believe the Chofetz Chaim was saying you cannot have a bracha for Torah, because that is Torah. A bracha which would enable you to absorb Torah easily, remember Torah easily, could perhaps be beneficial to your Torah knowledge, but it wouldn't enable you to fulfill Amal HaTorah. It would almost make it more difficult. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu help us be able to receive the Torah again on Shavuos with the Kabbalah, with the commitment to be Amal B'Torah, and to realize that that Amal alone is that which we should do b'simcha. As we say at a siyum, Heim amelim v'anu amelim. Heim amelim v'enu makablim schar. Anu amelim makablim schar. They work and we work. They work and don't receive reward. We work and receive reward. Why do we say that they work and don't receive reward? Bill Gates worked hard. He seems to have received reward. The answer given is that in other fields in the world, just because you worked hard, if you don't get the result, it was a waste. In Torah, the working hard is the result, is the goal itself. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu light up our eyes with His Torah and enable us to be amelim b'Torah b'simcha. Wishing everyone a good Shabbos and a good Yom Tov. Kol Tov.